So we've all heard of the Declaration of Independence, right? But what about the names scribbled at the bottom? Today, we're going to dive into that world-changing document, but we're going to do it through the eyes of three men who signed for Georgia. And trust me, their stories are just as wild and compelling as the words they put their names to. Just think about this for a second. What if someone asked you to sign a piece of paper, but doing it could get you executed? Not a contract, not a birthday card, a death warrant. That's the exact choice that was staring these guys right in the face. And let's be crystal clear about this. In the eyes of the British king, this wasn't some noble gesture. It was treason, period. By putting their names on that parchment, these men were officially branding themselves as traitors to the most powerful empire on earth. The stakes don't get much higher than that. This quote really just cuts right to the chase. We look back and celebrate these signatures, but at that moment, every single stroke of the pen was a life or death gamble. If the war went badly, it wasn't just a failed revolution. For them, it was almost certainly a one-way trip to the gallows. So what was actually in this document that made it worth risking everything? We often call it America's breakup letter with Great Britain, but it is so much more than that. It's a brilliant, carefully constructed argument. Let's take a look under the hood. Thomas Jefferson, who was the main writer, was a lawyer, and you can totally tell. He set this thing up like a perfect legal case. First, he starts with this big, powerful idea. Then, he lays out all the evidence. That's the grievances. And finally, he delivers the verdict. It is an absolute masterclass in how to make a point. Okay, so the preamble. This is the heart and soul of the whole thing. It doesn't just say, hey, we want to be free. No, it goes way deeper. It argues that every single person has basic rights that no ruler, no king, no government can ever take away. And there it is. Seriously, this might just be the most famous sentence ever written in English. It's the entire philosophical foundation for everything that comes after it. An idea so radical, it's still shaping the world today. All right, so after that beautiful, high-minded philosophy, Jefferson basically says, okay, now let me show you the receipts. This second part is a long, detailed list of every single thing King George III did wrong. Think of it as the evidence portion of the trial. Taxing without consent, forcing soldiers into people's homes, the whole shebang. And here we go. This is the grand finale. After explaining why they have the right to be independent and listing all the reasons why they need to be, this part just drops the mic. It makes it official. It's the point of no return. The ties are officially cut. Now, every colony sent delegates to sign this thing, but today we're going to zoom in on the 13th colony, Georgia. Three men stepped up to represent their home, Button Gwinnett, Lyman Hall, and George Walton. Their names might not be as famous as Hancock or Adams, but believe me, their stories are absolutely incredible. So here's a quick look at our three guys. And what's amazing is how wildly different their lives turned out after they all put their name on that one document. You've got a tragic duelist, a dedicated state builder, and a tough-as-nails political survivor. Let's get into it. Signing the Declaration was this huge, shared moment for these three men. But what happened the day after? And the year after? Well, that's where their stories split off in some of the most dramatic ways you can imagine. We're going to start with the most dramatic and, honestly, the most tragic tale of the bunch, Button Gwinnett. He was actually born in England, but after moving to Georgia, he became this super passionate supporter of independence. That passion, though, well, it would end up costing him everything. What's just insane is how fast all this happened for him. I mean, look at this timeline. He gets to Georgia, becomes a revolutionary leader, signs the Declaration, helps write the state's very first constitution, and then, just like that, he's gone. Killed in a duel with a political rival just a year after signing that famous document. And here's the crazy, ironic twist to his story. Because his life was cut so short, he just didn't sign his name to very many things. And that tragic fact has made his autograph the absolute holy grail for collectors. It is the rarest and the most valuable of all 56 signers. And how valuable are we talking? Well, in 2010, a single letter that Gwinnett wrote and signed sold at auction for, get this, over $700,000, an absolutely mind-blowing price tag tied directly to his short and turbulent life. Okay, so our second signer, Lyman Hall, had a totally different story. This guy was a real Renaissance man. He was a Yale grad who started his career as a minister, then switched to being a doctor. and eventually found his calling in politics down in Georgia. So after signing the Declaration, Hall didn't just survive the war. He rolled up his sleeves and helped build the new state of Georgia from the ground up. He became governor, and maybe his most lasting achievement, he was a key figure in creating the University of Georgia. We're talking about a true state builder.
And finally, we have George Walton. He was the youngest of the 3 Georgia signers. And let me tell you, this guy was a political powerhouse. His life story is all about resilience and an almost unbelievable career in public service.
I mean, just look at this resume. After signing the Declaration, he fought in the militia and was actually captured by the British. But did that stop him? No way. After a prisoner exchange, his political career just exploded. He was governor twice, a U.S. senator, chief justice of the state's Supreme Court. The guy did it all, a true political survivor. So, there you have it. 3 men, 1 signature. One dies in a duel, and his name becomes a rare artifact. Another helps build a state and its flagship university. And the third survives being a prisoner of war to become one of the most powerful legal figures in the nation. 3 completely different American stories, all born from that one shared act of treason. When you think about it, these men put their name on the line for an idea. Their signatures became symbols of tragedy, creation, and endurance. It really leaves you with one last question, doesn't it? They risked everything for what their signature represented. What will you put your name to, and what will your legacy be?